Hey there. I just recently did, as in recently by meaning in the last hour, a video about Universal Legacy sets. And BluRayAnonymous came up with a great idea. He said, what about Universal versus Hammer? Two generations of bringing horror movies back to the forefront. And so, what about Universal versus Hammer? This could be the start of a nice little series. So, of course, now that I'm starting to do the Universal versus Hammer series here, the best study is to pick the ones that I remember the least. Good one, huh? Anyway, let's start. The original Mummy is a classic. It has Boris Karloff, Turhan Bey, and well, let's just go with it's a classic. Basically, it's the age-old story of a man gets mummified, man comes back to life, man wants to bring back his mummified love, dies. Hope I didn't spoil it. But it's been a while since I've seen this one. But I do remember that it was pretty atmospheric in its time, but it was a little slow moving. And by a little slow moving, I mean, have you ever watched molasses go up a hill? The Mummy can be that slow moving at times. Now, don't get me wrong, The Mummy is a classic film, and there are some great performances in it. But, out of all the Hammer... out of all the Universal movies, this is probably the slowest. If you can think of a movie slower than this, even Phantom of the Opera is probably not as slow as this, and that had a lot of opera. Hence being Phantom of the Opera, not Phantom of the Disco and all. But Boris Karloff, albeit did a classic role. The makeup is incredible, and let's face it, Jack Pierce was the man when it came to makeup. I would not want to see that late at night. Not coming Mo, anyway. Now with the Hammer version, basically at this point Hammer were doing a Universal monster movies. Now they didn't have the rights to the Universal monsters, but they were like kind of free-range monsters that anybody could use. You just couldn't use them in the exact same way, the exact same makeup styling that was used in the original Universals. Hell, Universal can't use Bela Lugosi's image, which is their first Dracula movie, and anything else. If you want to go buy a Dracula set, one of the figure sets, down the like the Diamond Collections or something like that, notice how much it does not resemble Bela Lugosi, and that is completely and utterly on purpose. Anyway, to the Mummy. This was the third in the series of the films they did. They did Curse of Frankenstein and Dracula, which was called Horror of Dracula here in North America, and then there was the Mummy. The Mummy is a classic. 1959 Technicolor. Mummy comes back with Christopher Lee, who's the huge man, towering over everybody else in the film, and directed by Terence Fisher, who was hands down one of the great directors for many of the early Hammer stuff, and for Hammer stuff in particular. It has a screenplay by Jimmy Sangster. Another great. At this point, we got Michael Crerar still producing the movie. We got Peter Cushing. We got Christopher Lee. Which of these films do you think is going to win out? The makeup on here is pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely like a more Grand Gagne. Probably shouldn't have tried to say a word I'm not quite sure of the pronunciation of. You will forget that. Anyway, I really love this film. It is very fast. Peter Cushing is a very physical actor, and because of that, you really get to see his work against Christopher Lee. And this is definitely a really, really classic Hammer film. It's one of the ones that gets the least amount of love nowadays. And don't you gotta love this box cover art. Isn't this incredible? I mean, I'm not the the most, I'm not the biggest lover of these snapcase things, but come on, this is incredible. I love the light shining through the mummy right there. I mean, classic, kind of the old EC style horror type thing, and it kind of does come off like that. The mummy is towering. He's coming around. He's stalking people. He's killing them. He's baiting them to death. He's like, this was amazing. When I saw this, I was blown away. Now, I may watch these over and do like a complete overview of both of them during Halloween. But I wanted to do like a basic, let's look at these movies and see where these stand today. And honestly, this is a classic film. But I'm not going to pop it open. When I pop open this one, if I've got the mummy on, it's to watch the features. Or I put in the other disc and I watch the other films. Because they may not have Boris Karloff, but you know what they do have? A little bit more action. It's a product of the times. Things change. Things that were action filled and or plot driven just doesn't work quite as well now. That being said, I do love this film. This film has some great hunting sequences. There's some great cinematography. The makeup is incredible in it. Boris Karloff does a great job, but it is a slow-moving film, and for some of our younger viewers, they may not quite get it as well, but they will still enjoy the haunting look of the mummy. And you know, I may be giving this a worse rap than it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do know that it took me a while to get through the last time I watched it. Maybe not this time. I'll check it out on Halloween again. This one, however, every time I watch this, I get brought back to my 12-year-old childhood when I was originally watching these films, basically to see like cool monsters, because I'd grown up on the Universal monsters. I had CBC late night, and we had like this. When I lived in Alberta, we had kind of this Saturday guy that would come on and be one of those horror hosts, and he would like talk about the movies. He'd show one of the Universals, and it was really cool to see. But I guess like everybody else, I got to see these two at the right time, because I can just imagine if you were like a horror fan and you'd grown up with Universal, all of a sudden there was these like shocking, like full color movies with like blood and gore, like and like very, at the time, scantily dressed females. It may have been either sacrilege or the coolest thing you've ever seen if you were like a young child. So for me, when I got to watch both of these movies for the first time, they were like the coolest thing I'd ever seen. So neither one of these can lose out. Each wins for some reason. But that being a cop-out answer, this is the classic I sit down to watch. Now this may come on and bore me to tears this time around, but so far so good. Terence Fisher, Jimmy Sangster, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Yvonne Furneaux. Don't think it's going to happen. That was you, Blu-ray Anonymous. You have started a series, hopefully, that you will not regret. Hammer versus Universal. Score one for Hammer. Round one. To the untrained eye, may think that I have come back here because I forgot to say my offset catchphrase. That's totally not the reason. That being said, I'm going into the kitchen right now to make some tea. It's hot. Well, it's not hot, but I need hot liquid. So it is. Wait for it. Time for tea.